What's up, YouTube? This is Red Devilosa from Red Devilosa Reviews. Today marks the 85th anniversary of what is one of my personal favorite characters in fiction, created by the late greats Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. While this is a FANCAST video, I would like to take the opportunity to celebrate the character and his friends. Given that we have the new DCU coming with James Gunn and all of the other multiversal stuff, the question you might have is, where are these characters going to be? And truthfully, I got no clue. This is just what I would personally do. Mostly in the Batman universe is where I would like to have them. With that, we got a lot of friends to talk about. The villains will not be included, so no Lex Luthor. Sorry, AGD.
Clark, when people are scared, they have a tendency to hop on a bandwagon before they see who's driving it. But when they wise up, and believe me, they will, what matters is that you'll be there for them, leading by example, just like always. Truth, justice, and the American way. It ain't broke, so don't fix it.
Thanks, Pa.
Mom, leaving you after Dad died.
Oh, honey, it's what you needed to do then. And this is what you need to do now. It's time for you to go save the world, Clark. Still needs something on the chest, I think.
You can't talk about Superman's friends without his adoptive parents. Ma and Pa Kent are the pillars of how Clark Kent grows up in such a loving environment to be the hero that he becomes. Before Clark entered their lives, they were having a difficult time with having a child, where Martha experienced 8 miscarriages. 2 years later, Smallville would experience one of the worst blizzards, to which the Kryptonian spaceship of Kal-el would crash land where the Kents would find him. While Jonathan was wondering where the boy came from, Martha didn't care and instantly thought of the boy as a gift from the heavens. The Kents took the boy and raised him and loved him as their own. Jonathan would take the spaceship and buried it under the old barn, where they noticed that the boy was always in great condition and never seemed to get hurt, even when he should have been. They realized that their adoptive son has powers. One day, Jonathan had to make the difficult revelation to Clark, but even then, that doesn't change the love they have for Clark, likewise to what he's always knew as his parents. Martha, with Clark's help, would use the baby blankets that Clark was wrapped in to create his suit. Even after growing up and moving to the bustling city of Metropolis, they always loved when their son came back to visit. For Martha Kent, I got Mary Steenburgen, best known for her roles in Elf, Nightmare Alley, Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, and Happiest Season. As for Jonathan Kent, I have Steve Martins, best known for his roles in Only Murders in The Building and Father of the Bride. Not the most obvious picks, but that's alright. Mary plays a good number of good mothers. She doesn't mind that Buddy the Elf is a weird guy. She was much of a perfectionist in Happiest Season. In Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, she does struggle with the illness and death of her husband from progressive supranuclear palsy. As for Steve, he plays a retired actor and father figure to Selena Gomez in Only Murder. While trying to support his granddaughter and solve cases, he's also trying to do the right thing no matter what the circumstances are. Also, in Father of the Bride, where he's a rich dad that's struggling to support his daughter's marriage, he's supportive, but he doesn't realize that he's controlling a situation where he needs to take a step back and see where he's going wrong. I think these two will work well as the Kents.
Hey, Clark! Come on, we're gonna be late for class. Where'd you get those?
I'm not sure. Oh, what do you think? Are they me?
You are so weird.
Clark's high school sweetheart, Lana Lang, is one of the first people outside of the Kents that knew Clark was Superman. They've been able to maintain a friendly relationship even after parting ways. Now, depending on which iteration of the character is talked about, the consistent part is her kind, patient, and loyal personality, which is why Superman and Supergirl consider her as family. She's considered to be an aunt and mentor for Supergirl, with Kara referring herself as Linda Lang as her alias. She's been the editor of a business section at the Daily Planet and lives in a penthouse of the Hammersmith Tower with Supergirl. In other iterations during her time at Smallville with Clark, she had her own powers and super names like Gravity Girl and Insect Queen. She was also the First Lady of the United States with her now ex-husband Pete Ross. She has also gotten the powers as Superwoman as well. Currently, she is engaged with John Henry Irons, aka Steel. For Superman's first love, I got Magda Apanovich, best known for her roles in Kyle XY, Continuum, You, and being wasted as the fiddler in The Flash Season 9. In You, she plays Sandy Goldberg, the mother of Joe Goldberg, played by Penn Badgley, who I had as Hush in a previous video. She was a mother that dealt with prostitution and had an abusive husband, while also raising her son. After young Joe killed his father to protect his mother, she left with another man and abandoned her son. In Continuum, she demonstrates more action, which would be useful for Superwoman. She was also a paid manipulator to Alec, but she slowly falls in love with him. Kyle XY has her quickly being friends with Josh after learning that they were game competitors and became a couple down the line. Magda's ability to play small yet critical roles would make her perfect as Lana. Pete Ross was a friend of Clark Kent in Smallville. He marries Lana Lang and they had a son together. He was also a senator and elected as vice president under Lex Luthor. When Lex Luthor was impeached, Pete became president, served his term, and went back to Smallville with his son and opened up a general store. He divorced Lana because he knew Lana was still in love with Clark Kent, also realizing that he was always going to be considered as second place to Superman. Jake Lacey would be my pick for Pete Ross. Best known for his roles in Season 9 of The Office, The White Lotus, Johnny English Strikes Again, and High Fidelity. In The Office, he's referred to as New Jim and dates Erin. In The White Lotus, he plays the entitled real estate husband of Alexander Daddario. In Johnny English Strikes Again, he plays a tech billionaire that is promoting a system that can improve data management. And in High Fidelity, he's the secondary character opposite to Zoe Kravitz, where he may be the nice guy, but not so much of a good guy. These mix of elements would work well for Jake as Pete.
Coffee boy! Over here.
Here you go, Mr. Troupe. Large skinny vanilla latte, no whip, and I hope you don't mind. I had them add a dash of cinnamon to the grinds. It really wakes it up.
Now you know you don't have to call me Mr. Troupe.
And you don't actually have to call me...
Coffee boy, get a move on.
Excuse me.
Ron Troupe is one of the more level-headed reporters at the Daily Planet, focusing on the political and economic aspects for the company. He's also known to have an intuitive mind and is known for his objectivity, tackling a story from all possible angles. He and Lois are known to be the top two staff members at the Planet, often getting into friendly competitions with each other. He would often disagree with the sports editor Steve Lombard on practically everything. He would later meet, fall in love with, and get married to Lucy Lane, Lois's younger sister. The two of them have a son together, named after Lucy's father, Sam. For Ron, I got Sinqua Walls, best known for Teen Wolf. In Teen Wolf, he was a shy loner who didn't have many friends, but he does become a second in command in the pack due to his quiet, thoughtful, and intelligent personality. He would also develop romantic feelings with fellow pack member Erica Reyes. Ron Troupe would work well here.
And the only competition in this place is Steve Lombard, and he makes me feel like I need a shower.
Hello, ladies. Did someone mention the Stevenator?
Yes, I think it was human resources. You see my point.
Hey.
Steve the Slinger Lombard was a former football player for the Metropolis Meteors who would end up working for the sports columnists at the Daily Planet. He's known to be a bit of a jerk and self-centered, but in the sort of a comedic kind of sense. He tends to go for pranks around the office, mostly on Clark, but all in good fun. He tends to make advances with his female co-workers, mostly Lois. Him and Ron do frequently clash in terms of personalities. However, even if Ron and Steve do not see eye to eye, they are still the first ones to step up during dangerous situations. Part of the reason he went to journalism was because of an injury to his knee while saving a baby falling from a building. This is a bit of a unique call, but I would have Oliver Phelps as Steve Lombard, and because I can't, in my heart, separate the two of them as they have worked together in every project, I'd have his brother James Phelps play his twin, who I'm calling Anthony Lombard, for no particular reason. As we all know, they played the Weasley twins in the Harry Potter franchise, mischievous twins that can help relieve the tension in the room with their antics, yet they can get serious when the situation arises. They were also in Last Night in Soho. Not much they had done there, but I'll show the footage there for no particular set of reasons. In all seriousness, it was neat seeing them again. The reason why I decided to have Lombard twins is because, 1, keeping the Phelps twins together, and 2, because I feel like having two people creating antics and pandemonium at the Planet would create more of that annoyance factor, like as Squidward would say.
There's two of them!
blind without them.
I doubt that. If you're not who I think you are, what does it matter?
Miss Grant,
Glasses, or I take it as a confirmation?
Cat Grant is the head of the entertainment and art section of the Daily Planet. She is one of those kinds of characters that looks like they're having a good time, such as her antics of being openly sexual at the office, but she also deals with her own turmoil on the inside. She came from an abusive relationship from her ex-husband in LA and was delighted to leave with her son and work in a place like Metropolis. For a time, things were going well. She branched out to work for and eventually be the head of WGBS. She made a lot of new friends. Things were great. Until tragedy struck where her son, along with several Metropolis youths, were abducted by the Toy Man. Her son was brave and led an attempt to escape, but he was killed for this. Kat's world would get shattered again. There's a mix of results that came out of this, with her getting in an alcoholic stupor, with the help to recovery thanks to Perry White and Jimmy Olsen. She also dealt with Toy Man, leading to other stories for another day. Speaking of day, Portia Doubleday is who I'd like for Cougar Cat. Best known for Her and Mr. Robot. She had a small role in Her, where she was hired to be a surrogate prostitute date for Samantha, yet it didn't go too well as she was unable to contain herself when it came to putting herself down as she wasn't Samantha, and she got really upset to the point of leaving the room. In Mr. Robot, she's a childhood friend of Elliot Alderson. Angela is an account executive at AllSafe Cybersecurity. Her life falls apart during the course of the show. She thrives on security and stability, and she has to navigate a new life when that stability gets upended. You know, given that the character is called Cougar Cat, it's interesting that the actress is named Double D.
We do need all the help we can get. So what do I call you? Speedy?
Barry Allen.
Lucy Lane. I hope you're bringing more to the table than just quick reflexes.
Lucy is the younger sister of Lois Lane. While growing up, Lois was always known to be a bit of a troublemaker, yet Lucy was more spoiled by their father when it comes to her failings. As an adult, she worked as a flight attendant until a hijacker threw a chemical substance in her face, leaving her blind. This got her depressed and tried to attempt suicide, until she was rescued by Bizarro. She eventually worked at the Daily Planet and was romantically linked with Jimmy Olsen for a while until she dated Ron Troupe and eventually married and have a son with him. There was quite a bit of time where she was missing from the lore, which was explained that she joined the military after her father was believed to be dead to Imperiex, and getting bitter towards Lois and getting jealous at her more successful sister, driving a wedge between them. There's also the whole arc of her becoming Superwoman and New Krypton, but that's another discussion. Ann Winters would be my pick for Lois's younger sister, best known for her roles in 13 Reasons Why and The Orville. In 13 Reasons Why, she plays a cheerleader that did get her comeuppance when it came to being a bully, but she was also in an abusive relationship at the same time. She would deal with abandonment, but she learns to grow in maturity when all the cards were against her. The Orville has her with military experience as a leader, her action experience, and she deals with losing her girlfriend to a robot attack. And Winters would work well as Lucy Lane.
Dan's a good soldier, Superman. Tough as a bulldog, but not quite as patient.
Think he'll come back?
If I had a dime for every time Dan Turpin threw in his badge, I'd make Lex Luthor look like a pauper. Ugh. Where the devil is he?
Captain Maggie Sawyer works for the SCU, finding herself in Star City, Metropolis Police Department, and the GCPD to lead the MCU. As captain of the Metropolis Special Crime Unit, alongside with Dan Turpin, she and her unit are in charge of dealing with superpowered menaces when Superman is unavailable. Initially, she was against the likes of Superman as she had faith that her police forces would be more efficient than a vigilante fighting crime. But after getting injured and being saved by Superman during a terrorist plot, she warmed up to him. She also dated Kate Kane, aka Batwoman, and they were even engaged at one point. But that didn't happen because apparently happy marriages aren't allowed for major DC characters, otherwise that cannot be a compelling or conflict-driven kind of story. Right. I got Noémie Merlot as Captain Maggie Sawyer. Best known for her roles in Portrait of a Lady on Fire, Baby Rudy, Newcomer, and Tar. In Portrait, she plays a well-meaning painter that's secretly doing something, but she tells her girlfriend that she is spying on the truth. In Baby Rudy, she deals with injuries after a car crash that would keep her out of commission from her job. In Newcomer, she plays a spy and had to learn how to speak Serbian, as she is a French woman outside of the film. In Tar, she was Cate Blanchett's assistant that had to make a stand and quit after Kate fucked her over. Not an expected pick, but Noemi will fit as Captain Sawyer.
If they resist, I will not hesitate to destroy them.
You want a piece of me? Come on, Rockhead!
Jeez, is he crazy?
Yeah.
Dan the Terrible Turpin is a recurring character that came from the streets to eventually work with Maggie Sawyer in the Metropolis Special Crimes Unit. He finds himself connected to Superman from time to time. He's known for his temper and quick-to-act nature. Maggie would describe him as a good soldier who is as loyal as a bulldog. Superman the Animated Series had him based around Jack Kirby in terms of personality, his death being one of the more heartbreaking elements of that show. Michael Imperioli is my pick for Dan. Now, he may look familiar, and you'd be right. He's best known for his roles in Goodfellas, his Emmy performance as Christopher Moltisanti in The Sopranos, and The White Lotus. While The Sopranos was some time ago, this role was able to show his range through playing the surrogate nephew to a crime boss like Tony Soprano, played by the late great James Gandolfini. Chris's various addictions would often get in the way of his business ventures. Even if he isn't at the top, he can still be brash and intimidate those that he sees below him. He can give that commanding presence of a leader. His role in The White Lotus Season 2 is that of a Hollywood producer that is a sex addict that also trying to connect with his son. Another neat detail is that his father is played by F. Murray Abraham, who is the voice of Khonshu for The Moon Knight show. Sometimes the simple case of looking for the alternative for an actor to play the opposite of his well-known role is enough of a motivation, which would have Michael work as Dan Turpin.
I don't care what Kent said. I'm running a newspaper, not a home for mental defectives.
The editor-in-chief of the Daily Planet. Perry White is famous for his tough but fair attitude and his nose for potential, as well as his catchphrase, Great Caesar's Ghost, and Don't Call Me Chief. Perry has lived in Metropolis his entire life, growing up in the rough neighborhoods of suicide slums. His strength and integrity led him to be one of the world's greatest journalists. Perry also got more intertwined with the Superman family as he is the godfather to Clark's and Lois' son, Jonathan Kent, which is a nice addition. I got the maybe saying Kevin Costner. I expect this one to probably be the most controversial one, but to be fair, we still got a lot of video left to decide on that. Kevin just never struck to me as a guy that would play someone like Jonathan Kent. I do understand that what Snyder was going for was someone that provides tough love to his son in his own weird way. Then sure, I guess Kevin did an alright job on that front. That still doesn't really change my perception that the dude always made more sense as Perry. Kevin just has a lot of that Cold Stone, hard-ass kind of roles for quite some time, from Robin Hood in Yellowstone. Of course, the man does more than just those traits, but the summary can be placed in a similar manner. Although he can be sensitive here and there. I trash on Man of Steel, but one part I could give credit for is him telling Clark that he is his son and that he doesn't need to pretend that he isn't. But if we have to be fair where something works, we should also be fair to comment on how we got to that before and after. Doesn't really help the scene in question, but I digress. Field of Dreams is another film where he does a great job in showing that focused, determined, and some vulnerability as a dreamer that wants to build a baseball field. While this is an example of me reusing a former actor for a new role, Kevin as Perry is more of a role suited for him.
Still kicking yourself?
Why shouldn't I? I messed things up big time.
You lived up to your press, Jimmy. You saved my life again.
Superman's pal is a critical part of the Superman mythos. Don't let fans of a dead franchise convince you otherwise. Jimmy is the photographer for the Daily Planet. He's the first friend that Clark has made in Metropolis after the move from Smallville. Being the guy that's from Metropolis, he's familiar with getting screwed over and being used by others. But his positivity over this is something that Clark and his other friends can respect about him. He's always self-assured and driven, basically the middle ground for Clark and Lois. The friendship between Superman and Jimmy has been put into perspective as Jimmy would get caught up in situations that would get him in trouble. A signal watch was given to help produce a frequency that Superman can hear to get him to Jimmy as soon as possible. Asa Butterfield would be my pick for Jimmy Olsen, best known for his roles in Sex Education, Ender's Game, Miss Peregrine's Home for the Peculiar Children, and Hugo. In Sex Education, he gets used by Emma Mackey for money, which, to be fair, that's understandable. Ender's Game shows him being self-assured and determined. Home for the Peculiar Children shows him playing a non-powered character watching over those that do have powers. Hugo shows a quiet and wary kind of role, showing some genius abilities, but he's also looking for a place where he belongs. For those of you that are wondering, yes, he can hold a camera, so don't worry about that. Very critical to add in this description. Before we get to the super couple, let's get a few surprised rapid-fire castings.
You're in league with them, aren't you?
I'm not on trial, Sam. You want to protect the United States. But as soon as you're threatened, everyone else's rights go out the window? It's no wonder Lois is too afraid to be herself around you.
You questioning my relationship with my daughter?
General Sam Lane is the father of Lois and Lucy Lane. I would just reuse Dylan Walsh in the role. His portrayal in Superman and Lois is just perfect. Loves his family, but he can get stubborn at times, leading him to get astray. Even if he is misguided, he can still make a good point. He's able to go on that difficult edge of being both likable and not. I honestly prefer his version over the comic versions, so that's another plus in his favor. Also, thankfully, his version isn't like the Supergirl version. That would have sucked. Crazy how he's better than the comic version, too.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Why would you let Superman die when a washed-up old roughneck like me goes on living? It ain't right, God. It just ain't right.
Bibbo Bibbowski is a good friend and advocate of Superman. He was based on his creator, Jerry Ordway's best friend, described as someone that is a heart-of-nails softie. He's a longshoreman and a former boxer who met Superman while Superman was looking for information in Suicide Slum. Thinking that the guy was in a Superman suit, he punched Superman, hurting his hand. This did give the two of them respect for each other, with Bibbo considering Superman as his favorite. He isn't very bright, but he is well-meaning. He did win a lottery ticket and bought the ASO clubs and helped those living in the slums. During Christmas, he would dress up as Santa and help hand out presents for the orphans with Superman. After Superman died, he temporarily named himself as Super Dude in hopes to help fight crime while Superman was away. The reason why I put Bibbo in this position is because I would like Troy Evans to return in this role from his time in Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. While he was only in one episode, I just loved Troy as the pick. I recently watched Tiger Cruise with my friend Unity, and the former veteran was just such an amazing presence on screen. While I wouldn't say this is exactly like Bibbo, there are elements of him here. I really do not want to spoil anything, as this Disney movie is pretty unexpected as to what it's about, but I do plan to talk about this film with Unity next year for its 20th anniversary. I highly recommend it.
I've got the hyperspace coordinates locked in. Once he gets to Earth, he'll be safe. Lara, I could send you with him. There's a risk, but if I have time to recalibrate the course...
No, my love. I'm staying with you.
As we know about Superman's adoptive parents, we also know about his real parents on Krypton, Jor-el and lor-van. Not gonna sugarcoat this. Having Tom Welling and Erica Durance return from Smallville for these new roles would be enough for me.
Why don't you show old Lobo how classy you are?
You pig! Ow!
Ah! I like a babe who plays rough. Come on, let me have another. Right here, right here.
The love of Superman's life. Lois Lane is a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist for the Daily Planet and the mother of their son, John Kent. She was the first reporter to interview Superman after he first appeared in Metropolis. Growing up, the former army brat was trained by her general father in areas like hand-to-hand and the use of firearms. She's always been a girl that has to take control of her situation, no matter the odds. When she was 15, she lied about her age to Perry White while applying for the Daily Planet. She learned that Perry was looking for a story on Lex Luthor, so she did the impossible by sneaking into Luthor's tower and obtaining secret files, impressing Perry so much that he agreed to hire her. She became a well-known and respected reporter, winning multiple awards. Her life became intertwined with Superman, even being the one to name him as such. She and Clark would have their friendly rivalries, as she could never understand how Clark would get stories faster than her. But once she learned the truth, it all made sense for her. The importance of Lois Lane is that while she is just a human, she is the bridge that plays a connection for Superman. Now, I don't agree with the concept that Lois is so integral that Superman would say, I don't know, destroy the planet after she dies. But there's something endearing about two people from two different worlds, literally, that can break and strengthen their bonds over the course of their time. They are able to bring the best of each other when they are together. With a character like Lois, I'm going with Lily Collins. Typically what I see about the commentary about Lily is that she's known for her romantic roles. Some to point out are Love Rosie, Stuck in Love, Mirror Mirror, and as Edith Bratt in Tolkien, or also her secretary role in Mank. However, I think an underrated aspect of her acting ability is how she's able to slip into intensity in projects like Windfall, which I mentioned in my Fantastic Four video, in the film with Jason Segel, my pick for Thing, in Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile. She plays the wife to the serial killer Ted Bundy, and in To the Bone. She plays a character dealing with anorexia, which I also mentioned in my Silver Surfer video, where I cast her co-star Keanu Reeves as Silver Surfer. Of course, it wouldn't be right to not mention Emily in Paris, where she could do the sassy one-liners like Lois Lane. With Ann Winters and Dylan Walsh, Lily will round out the Lane family nicely. And finally, the man of the hour. Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, the Man of Steel fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. After all this breakdown, it's pretty clear that Superman has made such an impact on a lot of people in lore and in the real world over his 85 years. While Superman is able to be Superman thanks to his Kryptonian heritage, his time on Earth is what gave him the humanity that he has, his noble personality that gives his gentle, kind-hearted, and selfless attitude. His ability to value life down to the ordinary citizen, to his fellow superheroes. Batman has remarked on how Superman is able to have all the powers of God, to the point that people like him can view Superman as such, yet that sort of thing doesn't define who Superman is. Clark Kent is. Clark is that boy from Smallville that learned all the values of how to live from his wonderful family and is able to go about his life the way that they believe that he can. He was able to grow up, make friends, fall in love, experience death, pain, and loss, get a job, have a family of his own, just like anyone else. He's able to make a difference with his powers, even if that doesn't truly define who he is as a person. Yet, even all that, it wasn't a destiny, it wasn't a prophecy. Helping people isn't a job or a requirement, it's what he wants to do. Giving them a smile and letting them know that things are going to be alright, I think that's what makes Superman so great even after 85 years later. For the Man of Tomorrow, I got Richard Madden. Now, before someone mentions Eternals, I had him as Superman before that happened. Also, we're going from discount to the real deal, so there's that. And also, this is my hypothetical scenario anyways. Best known for his roles as Robb Stark in Game of Thrones, Cinderella with Lily James, who I had as Invisible Woman, 5 Minutes in 1917, but don't let that diminish the idea that the dude was able to draw the raw emotion in the single take, despite barely being in the film, as well as Bodyguard. I think everyone and their mom knows about Robb Stark, and hearing about a red wedding can instantly send someone to feeling sad. He shows elements of being a leader there, and in areas like Klondike. His Emmy performance Bodyguard shows him dealing with PTSD and getting mistrustful to anyone that he can't figure out. His roles in Cinderella and Ibiza shows his warmer and sensitive moments. Jokes aside with Eternals, sort of. Richard has practically done anything you would want Clark Kent and Superman to do throughout his filmography. Of course, it's difficult to judge chemistry between actors, but Richard and Lily have enough experience in romance-related films that there shouldn't be an issue. Richard Madden rounds out the final spot for this list. You know what? Fuck it. Surprise entry, since I expect this to get brought up eventually. Here's my picks for Gunn vs. Superman and Lois for Superman Legacy. David Cornsweet and Caitlin Dever, respectively. Caitlin is known for her radical and progressing thinking in Booksmart, to her tough exterior but vulnerable interior after dealing with the death of her brother in Dear Evan Hansen, also with a former Lois Lane, Amy Adams. Also for her determined attitude to stick up to her parents while also trying to maintain that healthy relationship even if they don't agree in Tickets to Paradise, and her funny, charming, and cunning role of learning to let go of Romeo, who was in love with her sister Juliet in the film Rosaline. As for David, he's known for his recent role in Pearl, the ex-prequel film where he plays the projectionist that is nice to Mia Goth's character even if she's being weird. He's also known for his role in The Politician with Zoe Deutsch. Here, he's running against the main character for student body president. He's good looking and a popular guy at school with wealth, sports, and a girlfriend. But deep down, he seems empty. He's able to change his demeanor on a dime very well. Given that I can't speak for James Gunn and what he wants to do, David and Caitlin would be great options for a new possible Superman and Lois. And that concludes the FANCAST special for Superman and Friends. Please let me know what you think about this list. Anything you agree with? Anything I change your mind on? Anything you completely disagree with? I'd like to know your personal FANCAST in the comments down below. Also, let me know what other FANCasts you would like to see out of me. Thank you to Awkward Game Developer, Master Blaster, and Unity Reviews and Analysis for helping out with this video. You can support AGD by checking out his Newgrounds and DeviantArt accounts and Unity's channel, links in the description down below. If you like reviews and opinions on movies, comics, TV shows, and video games, you can support my channel, Red Devil Loves Reviews, for more of that content. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Peace.